Many of you know the story of SaveAFox. There's a fox rescue that had over close to 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and by all normal persons' measurements, was a universal good. And it was run by, obviously, the face of it was Mikayla. A few days ago, it was reported that she had passed away. She had chosen to exit this world, and much of it was placed on the unending and unrelenting harassment of a few individuals. What you didn't hear probably is just who these individuals are. And that's what I'm going to expose in this one. Now, one of these creeps have received most of the headlines, but my team has dug up as many as 4 others who are involved in dedicating their lives to making this poor woman's life insufferable, so bad that she chose to end it. Now, this video is going to be a little bit longer because there's a lot of meat to it, but this is important. Obviously, people make their own choices in life, and mean words on the internet shouldn't affect you, but the reality is that for many people, it does. And if you're like me, you saw this horrific story getting shared around X about Mikayla, just a woman that ran a Fox charity, and you wanted to get involved. You wanted to get some justice for it. And I'm not sure there will be much justice in terms of legally, but what we can do is shed a really bright light on the losers that dedicated their lives to harassing a woman who just wanted to save foxes. A lot of this has been associated back with a snark subreddit. A lot of it spiraled out of there. If you've never heard of a snark subreddit, they're usually created for the purpose of harassing a single person or maybe a small group of people. Participants end up claiming that they're just holding people to account with facts and evidence to show who they really are, except 99% of the time, the harassment is just going to be based on completely unsubstantiated speculation. In fact, I have a snark Reddit that is filled with, doxes and all sorts of nonsense about me. And it doesn't bother me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't bother other people. Boogie2988 famously had a snark subreddit that nearly, ruined his life because he couldn't handle it. And, it's generally just a bunch of miserable, toxic people gathering to be miserable and toxic together once they've decided their target. It might seem crazy, but there's actually tons of these kinds of subreddits out there. There's even a subreddit, a snark subreddit, just to give you an idea who these people are. It's just a page where these losers, congregate. There is one dedicated to harassing a cancer survivor in an attempt to, quote, discredit her cancer diagnosis because they felt like she didn't look like she had cancer bad enough. Ethan Klein, for example, has one of the most well-known snark subreddits. He spoke about this phenomenon after hearing about Mikayla's passing. On Instagram, he wrote, exactly what our snarkers do, maximum cruelty with zero accountability. Reddit knows, they allow it, they defend it, and they seem to participate in it. Reddit must be investigated and held accountable. Now, this is where it gets really great. For me and my viewers, that, freedom of speech is a core tenet of what I talk about on this channel. And ultimately, as cold-hearted as it may sound, the person that chose, to take their own life in this case made that decision on their own. Now, the people that contributed to them feeling like they needed to do that are awful, garbage humans, and I think it's more important to expose who they are and what they're about than it is to expect, Reddit to do anything or shut these snark subreddits down. They're never going to do that. They're not going to arrest any of these people because technically what they do is legal, at least in America. It's as crazy as it might seem. There was a snark subreddit dedicated to monitoring Mikayla and her SaveAFox rescue, a totally wholesome thing. While this subreddit had a pretty small following, only 19 posts, 91 comments over the course of a year, but Mikayla herself became aware of it in April, and it seemed to really bother her. She visited the subreddit and even tried multiple times to defend herself against some of the unsubstantiated claims, which included that she was just abusing the animals, not taking care of them properly, or she should just stick to OnlyFans. She tried to respond to some of their most egregious claims about the rescue itself, but it didn't deter their abuse. You can actually see here in this post, which will hopefully be up on the screen, where she had responded to some of these people, because it's just like, what do? People are trying to lie on you. So naturally you want to clear your name. However, what you end up finding out is that they don't actually care about the truth. That's why, I could call out my snark Reddit and have you all flood it and flag it, but it would just move somewhere else and they would be awful people there. I take a lot of solace in knowing that my snark is mostly full of ex-fans of mine whom I live in their head absolutely rent-free. And it's what a pathetic existence that must be. But not everybody is capable or prepared to, or in a mental position or mental state where they can handle all this stuff, especially when people are going after very personal things. Mine, for example, posted heinous things about my wife and my family, contacted my wife on Christmas, called family. Like, these losers, I would love to have a conversation with them one day face to face, but I know that'll never happen. But that's what Mikayla tried to do. So she went in to the subreddit and said, since I'm here, since all of the rescue animals are immediately spayed and neutered upon arrival, I'm assuming you're referring to jackals. You can see here, r/SaveAFox snark was responding to these people in the SaveAFox rescue. SaveAFox rescue was responding to these people in the snark. But as they quickly learned, these people are not interested in the truth. They aren't interested in you defending yourself. They just want to spread lies about you. Hey, maybe some of the things are true too, but you live rent-free in their head. And I wish that I could have shared that with Mikayla before it got so bad. Now, I'm assuming she had other issues that she was going through, that perhaps this was the final straw. But now that Mikayla has passed away, the spotlight is definitely on the people behind the subreddit. In particular, one Reddit user has garnered, stood out as the most significant leader in this behavior, that Mikayla was on the receiving end. And that person has now been unmasked by outraged social media users seeking justice for Mikayla. Marissa Devano, also known as KZO Lion, was one of the bullies who kicked off the harassment campaigns on Mikayla Rains. Devanzo is a trans furry from Georgia and one of the most outspoken trolls of the Mikayla Rains and SaveAFox rescue. I can confirm, now thanks to the great work of my team now, that despite some information to the contrary, Devanzo is actually a biological female who identifies as a man. So not a trans woman, but a trans man. And there's some photos that we'll throw up here. If you don't know what a furry is, it's a subculture focused on anthropomorphic animal characters. They dress up in these suits. I don't have any problem with furries. They seem to have a high degree of degeneracy in their ranks, but I don't have any issue with people into it. I've met them before. They seem like, people with just like a weird, habit or hobby or whatever the case may be. But ultimately it doesn't really matter. Following the news of Mikayla's passing though, Devanzo, whose fursona is a lion, actually made an unapologetic post on Reddit saying, "I'm not backing down, F off." Again, here's the thing. I'm not backing down, F off. You act like I went to Mikayla's house and sliced her open and left her. All I did was put together a few sources pointing out some things she did wrong. I had no hand in bullying any of this in any kind. Even if I did, so you did, you're no better for calling me slurs, telling me you're going to dox me, and sending me instructions on how to off myself. You asked me if I'm proud of myself. If I took my own life with the guides that you sent me, would you be proud of yourself? Get real. These people are lunatics. I mean, here's a picture of this individual, right? And their Reddit post. So complete sociopathic behavior. I can't find one threat or doxing threat. What are you talking about? Please no anonymous messages, something real. What a PR nightmare. OP just needs to burn the account and move on with their life. Reads like a child wrote this. Obviously, this person has now fled the internet. Disturbingly, the rabbit hole of Devanzo goes a bit deeper than Mikayla Rains and SaveAFox incident. My team was also able to find some past friends of Devanzo have put forward evidence suggesting that Devanzo is actually a zoophile. If you want to know what that is, look it up. And had previously expressed bedroom interests with their cat. Some users are also reporting Devanzo had created zoophilic and the creepazoid, the terrible stuff, artwork. One user actually posted screenshots from a Discord server showing Devanzo admitting to have, quote, intrusive thoughts about doing horrible bedroom things with the cat. Okay. As early as 2022, people were expressing concern about Devanzo's zoophilia and requested that they be blocked from online communities due to their disturbing behavior. Devanzo has now deleted their entire social media presence, but it's worth noting that this was not the only person behind all of this. A second identified perpetrator was actually on Tumblr, not Reddit, and coincidentally is also trans. What a coincidence! Known as, quote, is the owl video cute? And I've got images to display here on the screen for you. The user has been attempting to deny that they were responsible for any of this, but bizarrely has also claimed that anyone defending Reigns is some sort of racist and that Palestine is more important. Literally what? And I mean, you could go through some of these. You say that you didn't make her do this, but you sent a lot of people to attack her. Geez, go F off and never come back. And then other messages. Hate to say it, but some of these anods make me want to commit hate crimes in Pride Mouth. And these people, it's, going saying it's because she's white, but she's also because she would rather watch soft, cute videos of fluffy animals than focus on the atrocities their countries commit. So what they're saying is us obsessing and trying to ruin this woman's life is totally fine because Palestine. You might think that's crazy, but again, I have the receipts. More comments from Is the Owl Video Cute? It's hilarious to watch these other nines get so worked up about this. There are people getting bombed in the Middle East, and all y'all care about is a animal abuser taking their own life. Again, these people are deranged psychopaths. Now, you have to have a Tumblr account to get at a lot of these messages, but thankfully my team went into that toxic cesspit and got some of them. You could see a lot of these messages, where Is the Owl Video Cute is posting obsessively about this individual, saying, I strongly encourage the U.S. to report her to the USFWS. She has no business with those animals, and I doubt she is properly licensed for them. I'm sure this person is a complete expert. An anonymous Tumblr user in 2025 must be a complete expert, right? These are the same type of people that, called Child Protective Services on Ethan Klein. Posting, there's no reason to post yourself in videos with lingerie for, there's nothing wrong with posting videos of yourself in lingerie for any reason. But wild animals don't really need to be used as props. Maybe that money was getting used to save the foxes. This woman also accused her of being an animal hoarder through and through. Anyone who's ever had or at least attempted to own one horse knows how expensive these animals are. Again, a complete moron. This person had a 2.5 million subscriber YouTube channel. My guess is they made between $30,000 and $50,000 a month. They certainly could afford to run this rescue. Not to mention they had the donations of their viewers. I'm just showing a bunch of these on the screen, to show that this person was clearly obsessed with them. Following the passing, we discovered a third person, yet another Tumblr user, goes by the handle what's-this/muslid, MUSTELID. They admitted that they got multiple things wrong about SaveAFox. The user had previously speculated that Mikayla only rescued foxes to get rich off social media and buy more property. Because, of course, that's what these people are. You can see some of their posts. It's so weird. In the light of what happened, are there any things you would have changed, they said in a conciliatory post? This is not meant to be accusatory, but I think it's important that the internet at large consider where the line is between rightful callouts and fuel for harassment, because it's so often extremely nebulous and ill-defined, and one that really needs to be nailed down. Yeah, I don't really think. I mean, the thing is, these are 3 users that we've begun our deep dive on. The question is, should Reddit be held accountable for allowing the proliferation of snark accounts to kind of cyberbully people? It is a nebulous question in terms of where the line is and how, how much responsibility Reddit has. I think there's some pretty clear lines, when you're talking about doxing, when you have, you're listing people's private information, that kind of stuff. I think that's a pretty clear line. If it's just a subreddit dedicated to hating on somebody, I don't know that that's a bannable offense. Certainly, I think if you are encouraging the action of other people and then you can prove that those people are following through with that action, maybe you have a case to make with Reddit. Should these individuals, any of these three people, should they be held accountable for contributing to her taking her own life? That's a tough one. I personally believe that ultimately she made her own choice. However, I am perfectly happy to shine a very bright spotlight on these people. And I will shed not a single tear when the real names and locations of these other people come out and it gets revealed where they work and maybe people around them get informed that this is how they spend their time. I am a much bigger fan of internet justice. So, if you have information on what's dash this sat dash must elid, whatever that is, or this other individual, I am happy to share with the world who these individuals are. Is the owl video cute? Also on Tumblr. I'm 100% happy to share these people with the world because they took a very real person doing very real good, and they dedicated their lives to making their life terrible. I want to wrap this up with a final message from KZO Lion, where they put out a new message just moments ago. A video dropped today announcing Mikayla Reigns of SaveAFox has passed away. Ever since, my notifications have been overflowing with her meat riders. People have obsessively brigaded my posts and comments on various subs. Boy, how's that feel? How's that feel? You people are calling me slurs. Oh no. Threatening to dox me and telling me to end myself. And somehow you're the good guys. I bet if I were actually to do it, you'd be very quiet. Nah, I don't think they would be. Well, I first found out what happened. In the very heat of the moment, I felt no remorse. Then a pit made itself known in my stomach and began to expand. But now, with the way you guys are behaving, the guilt is starting to wane. So it's like, leave me alone or I'm not going to feel guilty about this. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to raise awareness of her wrongdoings. What I'm not proud of is that people took her passing as an invitation to hold me personally responsible. Do you really think Mikayla went, oh no, 2 years ago, a small furry creator on the internet said I'm not perfect. Time to end myself. You probably won't believe me when I say this, but I was never a part of the SaveAFox snark subreddit. I never even knew about it existing before today. That's a lie. That's actually a lie, isn't it? Wasn't KZO, don't we have confirmed posts of this individual? Here you are, right here. I'm not backing down. F off. I mean, you're absolutely partaking in different comments, different posts. This is somebody who, obviously, this person who took their life was dealing with real problems. But I don't think these losers who participate in these snark subreddits are doing anybody any favors. If Mikayla can't be blamed for her fox's easily preventable deaths, then I cannot be blamed for her death. I made one post putting together various sources, and that was it. Get a effing life. You participated in it just like these other users, and I sincerely hope that everyone around you shames you for it. I hope that these other two people, their information becomes public, because that's the price that they should pay. Do I think Reddit should ban snark subreddits? No. But do I think they should be taking a more serious approach to moderating the more heinous stuff? Yes, I do. I hope this was informative. I will continue to report on this as I find out more information about who these individuals were, and the fact that they are basically taking glee and making no apologies or contrition for their behavior is absolutely psychotic. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.